flip.
Well, hello everybody. I hope that I am here live with you. Don't know, I've never done the Facebook Live thing, so I have no idea if I managed to get it done right. Andrea, actually, if you're listening, one thing you could do if you want is call my home phone, and I'll just put you on speakerphone here next to my iPhone. I hope I have this set up all right, good enough. I'll cue up my introduction music and hope that somebody is able to listen and that I got it right. Sorry, this has been a little bit of a train wreck so far, people, but we promise to try to work it all out. Here we go. Hello, Beat Ball world. Welcome to the first ever Beat Ball Blues show. With everything going on in the world right now and everybody's life on hold, people not being able to get out and practice individually or with teammates and do team activities like everybody's used to, I figured it would be the perfect time to kind of jump in and see if we could help everybody improve their games going forward. I am the 2000 offensive MVP, 5-time world champion, Neil McDonald. I was hoping to be joined by my co-host, the Facebook Live Queen, A-Dog, as I call her. Nobody else calls her that, but I've always called Andrea A-Dog, or at least for a long time I have called Andrea A-Dog. So I'll be calling her this. I figure this will kind of determine how popular our little show gets. If other people start calling her A-Dog, then I know you people were listening. I have, for a long time, had a desire to run some sort of a beat ball clinic, training camp, training program. I know I've talked to people around the league with it before. I guess I've always hoped that someday I'd win the lottery or hit something rich, do well enough professionally, whatever, that I could afford to kind of set it up sort of myself, but also get some sponsors back it up and, have 9, 10, 12 players like once a year, mostly newer players, get together and have some coaches and just spend 3-4 days just teaching the game, teaching it to be properly played, how to properly prepare for the game, for the tournament more than anything. Now it's a 5-day tournament, and preparing for that takes a lot of work if you want to do well, if you want to be successful personally, or if as a team you want to be successful. It takes a lot of work. So my hope is the training camp plan that I've had for many years that I've never been able to organize. We could start doing it in small levels here and honestly reach out to more people than just 9 or 10. And I'm aware teams like the Thunder, and the Jets, and the Edge, and Houston, Chicago, all those teams have tons of experience. Austin, they're not coming to me looking to figure out how to practice and how to properly prepare. But there may be individuals on those teams that are not getting as much playing time as they'd like, or, just simply want to improve their game. Also, though, like the newer teams, I know what it was like. I was part of a new team back in 1986. We had no idea what we were doing. We were just showing up with a ball. We didn't even have bases. Two things we were using when I first started playing beat ball in 1986. When we were running bases. On one base, we had, for those of you that have seen or can see, like those orange cones that they have on the road when they're like working on the road and you need to stay out of the area, the way they kind of protect the area. we had an orange cone like that, but it had a buzzer in it. And so one person would stand at one base and turn that on and off when somebody hit the ball. And our other base, we had a spoon and a pie pan, and somebody just banging that thing the whole time we're running down the baseline. So, we didn't even have proper equipment. In fact, the balls we had, I don't even know where they came from. We had like 4 or 5 balls. And each week we would practice, and there was a guy that used to be Pacific Bell here in Sacramento where I live, and we would, after each practice, we'd take the broken balls to him, and he would fix them up for us, repair them best he could, and send them back out. So we just kept using the same balls over and over as they were getting repaired. One story that may have trickled down to some people over the years. This was way back in like 87, probably, I'm guessing. Maybe 86, 87, right in that range. So I told you the guy that used to work on a ball. I want to say his name was Ray Griffith or Ray something. Our pitcher, Don O'Hare, that was part of the Society for the Blind in Sacramento. He was a mobility instructor. He helped us get the team going, and he was our pitcher, and he's the one that would drop the balls off. And it was around St. Patrick's Day, and he dropped off our bag of balls, and he wrote like a note on there, said something like, here's your bag of balls for St. Patty's Day or something like that. And at some point, the one of the balls started beeping, and they hadn't got the bag to Ray yet, and there's this random bag at the Pacific Bell building just beeping. They literally called in a bomb squad. They took the bag of balls out into the parking lot. Then they shot some kind of a water gun at it, blew up the bag. Balls went rolling every direction, and they just shot at the balls, blew the balls up because they thought they were some kind of suspicious, dangerous equipment. So that was a story that I know some people have heard over the years, but that is the true story of how that all played out. So I know what it's like to be on a new team, not have all the things that all the good teams have, and not have the personnel, the experience, and all that stuff. So I figured this is a great opportunity, a great time. Facebook Live has been very popular in Beatball Nation. Oh, and by the way, thank you to all the admins here in Beatball Nation for agreeing to let us do this. I appreciate it very much. I didn't choose Beatball Nation over any of the other groups for any more reason than that it just seems to have the largest largest numbers, largest. It's the largest group for beatball. I don't know why I can't talk all of a sudden. So I just want to reach as many people as possible. I'm not into this being confrontational. I'm not into any kind of a competition, one group against another. I really want to bring everybody together. This is for everybody. We're not representing the league doing this. It's just a couple people. I know Andrea's not here with me, but it's just a couple people that love the league and would want to just want to help people improve the league. So we're not representing the league. This isn't, if you have questions on changes that you want with the MBBA, so forth, stuff like that, rules, political stuff, whatever, you still need to take it to them. That's not what we're here for. With that said, though, I have served many, many years on the board of directors. I've got nearly 2 decades of working with the tournament committee, both how we used to do it back in the 90s, and I was part of the committee as it made the transition into how it does things now. I was a big part of that. So I can answer questions. I won't be able to do it tonight. One thing Andrea was going to be doing is looking at the chat for me, for us, and seeing if people had questions so we could answer them live. So I'm not going to be able to do that without driving you all crazy while I look around for your questions on my computer with the phone just sitting here. So I'm going to have to bypass that part, but the point will be that I've lost track of why I even dove into that, but the attempt will be to give everybody opportunities to ask questions, do question and answer out here, about playing, about teams, about team building, about improving, all that stuff. And just be able to spread the word to more people, in one lump sum. So I want to outline the things that we plan to do with the show. Each week, we want to focus on a particular part of the game. One of the first things that I wanted to touch on is fitness and conditioning. I've invited Mike Finn to join us next week. And we'll work on getting all the bugs figured out, assuming that we could do it the way we planned on. Maybe some of you honestly would be able to help us with the technology. Our belief was that we could start one of these Facebook live chats, and Andrea could have invited me like she was trying to do, and we can invite our guests to come on. And go from there. Have everybody just in one area and just go live with it and go forward. I'm not positive if the way we were planning on doing that is going to work. We may have to find another line, a way to get things in. But that was our plan. And that still is our plan, and we'll just have to get it figured out. But I wanted Mike Finn to come on with as the first guest, and I wanted to talk with Mike about fitness and conditioning, because honestly, if you're going to play in our World Series tournament, which is a 5-day tournament, especially if you're playing on a team that's good and is going to go deep into the tournament, playing 4 or 5 days, you need to be in shape. I'll tell you right now, Mike will confirm this next week. He's the expert, assuming he'll come on. He hasn't gotten back to me yet, but I trust that he will. That's my boy. I got Mike Finn playing beat ball 25, 26 years ago, so he owes me. But I'll tell you right now, if you're not working out and conditioning for this year's World Series, God hoping that it's going to be able to, we're going to be blessed and the tournament's going to be played. If you're not conditioning right now, you're already behind. You are already behind. You should be conditioning already. See if that is just random or one of my partners.
From Andre.
Miss Andrea?
Hello.
Am I going?
Are you still live?
Yeah, did yeah, I believe so. Are you not able to see me? I hear my voice on your phone. Huh?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I guess this isn't going to work because I'm hearing my voice like over the phone.
Yeah.
So it's just going to, but I am live?
Okay. Yeah, you're live.
Okay. I was worried that I might be cutting some people off because I forgot to make it public. I'm not, with my privacy settings. So I'm hoping that it's not just like friends of mine that are able to watch. I hope everybody's able to see it.
Should be everyone in Beatball Nation.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to hang up since it's echoing and all that. All right. Thanks for all your effort, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right,
bye. The great A-Dog. All right, so I want to bring Mike on because Mike is an expert in this field. Mike Finn, anybody that, I'm sure the Austin Blackhawks are very familiar with his expertise. He was great with the dogs as far as getting us all on track with not just what we should be doing for workouts, but what we should be eating or, things that we should do with our diet. I could tell you some simple things and he'll go deeper into it when we get him on. But protein and vegetables are your two best friends when you are trying to get yourself in better shape and preparing for a tournament like the Beat Ball World Series. Again, a 5-day tournament where you're playing multiple games every day. You need to get your body right. And something I'll always remember is protein, your meats and whatever you're doing for protein, that'll make you strong. Vegetables will make you fast. You gotta do both. You can't be hard-headed and not want to be healthy with your fruits and vegetables. More vegetables, because fruit's got a lot of sugar in it. So I'm not saying stay away from fruit, but you've got to focus more on veggies than you do on fruit. But veggies are going to make you fast. Protein will make you strong. So the other thing I want to have Mikey talk about is running. Not necessarily to teach you guys how to run, because you can't really, without being there live with you, but to help you develop a running program for the off season and for it to continue on leading up to the Beat Ball World Series. Again, I know I was guilty of this when I first started playing. I was working out a lot and just trying to get all buffed up so I could hit the ball over everybody's head, but I wasn't focusing a lot on my conditioning, getting my running ready. And honestly, I was one of the knuckleheads. We see it every year at the tournament. I haven't even been there since 2009, and I know everybody sees this every year. After the first day, every team's already got a few people who are lame, they got a lame, left leg or whatever. They pulled a quad, they've pulled a hamstring. And a lot of times it isn't just bad luck. It's a lack of preparation. I know that was for me. When I was younger, I ran into that more than I did when I was older. Should have been in better shape when I was younger. But by my second tournament, I was pulling quads on the first day of the tournament. So, the running aspect, we run so many bases, especially if you're playing with a team that has a good pitcher like a Jared Woodard or Tim Hibner, Kevin Simpson. You got guys like that pitching to you. You're going to be running your little backside off. You've got to get ready for that. You can't just show up and expect the pitcher to hit your bat, and that's going to be the end of it. You've got to get yourself prepared for running all those bases. So that's going to be my first goal, is getting Mikey P out here to talk to you about fitness and health, and give everybody an idea of the kind of running program that you should be on. And then same with pitching. I would like to, I haven't reached out to anybody yet. And Timmy, if you're listening, as much as I love you, you're my brother. You're not going to be my guest. I'll try to go outside my comfort zone, find somebody I don't know so well, and bring them on to talk to you about pitching. And, I don't have a lot of choices. We only have a handful of premier pitchers, but I want to get one of them on here to talk to other pitchers, especially with the newer teams. It's so hard to find a pitcher. It's one of those things I feel like people just have a gift to do or not do. Like Kevin Simpson, I think, could have fallen out of a baby crib and started pitching. But that doesn't mean he doesn't work on his craft. I was around when Jared Woodard started pitching, and the way he developed. There's no way he got as good as he did without working his backside off to get where he's at. My boy Timmy, I played with him long enough to know, both when I played a little with Oklahoma City and when he came on to the Dogs. I could tell when he was working at it, when he wasn't, because even though he's got that natural gift and can always hit a bat, he, like everybody else, was at his best when he was working on his craft in between practices during the off season. That was when he had his best years. So again, there are people that just have a gift for pitching, but they still need to work at it. So I want to get one of our experts on here and get some ideas passing around to the new teams, newer pitchers that aren't having as much success, to give them things to work on and focus on. Let me look on all right, defense. Defense is going to be my favorite when we focus on doing a defense show. That's going to be my favorite thing. I take a lot of pride in how good the West Coast Dogs were defensively, because even though some may just chalk it up as we went around and collected all the best athletes and blah blah blah, that's not the case. We worked really hard on defense. We did drills that other teams probably still don't do. We had a coach in Don Robinson who saw defense better than anybody I've ever been around. Like, he literally, when he's just watching a player, he'll see if your head's lined up looking at the ball. He would see if your feet are moving in a good flow to get you to the ball. It's like, it wasn't just like, did you get the ball or not? From the beginning of the play to the end, Don Robinson could see every little knick-knack that you were doing or not doing correctly. And, out of a lot of that stuff, we as the Dogs came up with a lot of little drills that we would do, both individually and as a team. We worked a lot individually. Talking about like the gifted pitchers, who just have that natural gift to pitch. There are a lot of defensive players who just they have a good ear. They're good athletes. They can run around, move well. There are people who are naturally good at playing defense, but they still should be working on their craft. And I hope when we do that show that some of our drills that we used to do on the Dogs, things I think teams could all benefit from and should all be doing. We'll share that. I'm not sure who, might not have anybody on as a guest at that point, because I consider myself a bit of an expert when it comes to defense. But I do want to have a guest come on, different perspectives. There's more than one way to get to heaven, in my opinion. So, you know what I mean? As we toss different ideas around, share what we're doing. Maybe hearing some of the things that I recommend might get other people who are smarter than me thinking about other things that could be done, other drills that could be done. But again, if you want to be good on defense, it doesn't matter how good you are naturally, you still got to work at it. Eric Mazariegos, one of my longtime friends, another person I kind of got into beat ball. He had other avenues, people that he knew that were playing or whatever, but I was the first one to get him to come out and see the game, and he fell in love with it just like I did right away. Nobody, as great as Eric has been over the years, and some of you newer people don't even have a clue how great he was. If you go back and look from 1992 until current day, look through all the All-Star winners, you'll see his name all over for years and years in between 1992 and now. He's done great offensively also, but in my personal opinion, there's never been a better defensive player than Eric. But I could tell you for a fact, because I watched it, nobody worked harder at it than Eric. I mean, he's fast. He's perfectly built, in my opinion, because playing defense, one of the things you need to be, because the ball's on the ground a lot, is you need to be low to the ground. The lower center of gravity you have, the better you can track a ball that's on the ground. So at 5, Eric will probably say he's 5'9", but let's call a spade a spade. Eric's about 5'7", 5'8", maybe. So, he's got the perfect size, like, body to be low to the ground. He's fast. He's a great athlete. But, man, he just worked his tail off on defense. He wanted to be the best defensive player, and he worked for it. A lot of players, they won't work on their craft because maybe their team won't give them a ball. It's like, hey, you need to work on defense in between practices. Well, I don't have a ball. So if you care about it enough, go buy a ball. And I'm not saying that disrespectfully. Like, I know a lot of our community struggles financially. I'm struggling financially, so I'm not taking it lightly that balls, bats, all that stuff costs some money, but it comes down to how bad you want something. Eric, aside from the balls that we would buy for our team, Eric kept himself stocked up on beat baseballs all year round. And he would go out with his brother Mac, who's a member of Beat Ball Nation, and all whenever Eric needed it, he was out hitting balls to Eric. Not just throwing them out there to save them from breaking. He was hitting them. And so Eric was constantly buying his own balls. I mean, everybody on the Dogs, we've all done that, but nobody to the degree that Eric did. So, again, you could be, as naturally gifted as possible. You still have to work on your craft. Michael Jordan is arguably the best NBA basketball player that's ever been. You could throw Kobe Bryant in there too. Well, there's other names that could be thrown in there, but those are just two. Nobody worked harder than them. They were great, but nobody, if you listen to their teammates talk about people that played around Kobe or Michael Jordan, hear them talk about their craft, nobody worked harder than they did. Kobe Bryant had a track coach and a weightlifting coach that he did separate of the team. He would go work out with his track coach before the Lakers would have their practices, and then he would go to practice, and then he would go meet his weightlifting coach. I mean, I have no desire to work that hard. I'm a lazy man, I'll admit it. But that, Kobe didn't just get born great. He worked harder than all the people around him. Michael Jordan wasn't just great. He worked harder. He outworked the people around him. So again, when we get around to defense, I plan to lay out a lot of ways that you can improve your game through your practice. What do I have up next? All right, players and coaches. So I want to have guests on, to work that will specialize on defense, pitching, running, conditioning. But I also would like to have players and coaches from new teams. Bring them on so they could just tell me what they're doing, tell us what they're doing, ask questions. I've worked with a lot of teams over the years, and I feel like I've done a good job with it. There's not much I would say that I'm really good at. God's honest truth, I just don't think I'm really good at a lot of things. I'm really good at working with teams. I love this sport. I love trying to improve teams. And I love when I'm talking to Ira and Arlene from the Wichita team are good friends of mine. And I spent a lot of time on the phone with Ira over this last year trying to help Wichita get ready to come to the tournament. I was going to say return, but it's really a different group than what they had before. So I worked a lot with Ira, and man, I loved hearing in his voice, like when he's talking about how do I get them to do this at practice and how do I get them to do that, and I'd give him ideas, and he's like, I got that. I could just hear in his voice when it clicked. He's like, that makes sense. I could see that working, and I just love reaching that with players. I love reaching it with teams. So yeah, I would like to have players, coaches, captains, whatever, from individual teams who are newer and getting started, struggling to kind of find their way. I'd like to have them come on the show and give them some direction. And through our questions and answers, other teams that are in the same boat are going to be able to gain from the same thing. So that will be a goal with bringing on those guests. You may have noticed I haven't said anything about hitting, and I don't really plan to. I'll touch on that in a second. I don't plan to bring on anybody about hitting because I think that is such a mechanical thing. And I certainly don't want to get a bunch of players like doing something I'm telling them to do, and then you go to practice and your pitcher's like, "What the heck are you doing?" So that getting individuals to improve their hitting. I can't think of a way that I can help people with their mechanics as far as how they should swing. So I'm going to let individuals you're going to be more on your own. Not that you can't ask questions about it. I'll try to answer them. But it would be really hard to help people with the mechanics of swinging. There's so much that goes into it. How you hold your head, how you swing your hips, how your feet are positioned on the plate, how you take your step when you step into swinging the bat, the level your bat should be at. There's so much technical stuff that goes into that. I just don't think I could do it justice as far as helping teams, or individual players. But what I can say is you all should be swinging the bat all year round, or at least like you should be by now, 2 or 3 days a week. You should be taking 30, 40 cuts. And by the time, each time you go out and practice your swinging. And by the time we hit June, you should be up around 80 to 100 swings, and you should carry that out all the way through the tournament. We swing the bat more than we run to base when we're at the World Series, unless you're with one of the good pitchers, I guess. But we take a lot of cuts, and any good pitcher will tell you that a lot of their hitters, their cuts aren't the same on Thursday as they were on Tuesday, because people get tired, the bats start to drop, and that's going to happen naturally no matter how hard you work at it. But you can limit the amount of corrosion that happens to your swing as the tournament goes on by being more prepared. So everybody who cares about their swing and cares about their production at the plate, you should have a bat at your house, and you should be out getting some cuts at least 2 to 3 days a week right now. And right now, again, you wouldn't have to do a lot of cuts. Each time you could just, 30, 40 cuts, and not in a row, because you always remember one at bat, you're never going to swing, hardly ever going to swing more than 3 or 4 times. Maybe if you're fouling off pitches, but the way I used to do it is I would take 6 cut. I would. Mike Finn had me doing this. I would swing from both sides when I was practicing my swing, even though I never hit left-handed in a game, just because it's a good workout for the body. And also, the thing I noticed is when I swung the bat left-handed, I had to focus a lot more on my mechanics. It was a good kind of mental practice. But I would do 6 swings from the right, 6 swings from the left, and take a little break. 1 minute, 2 minute break. And then I would do the same thing. And I would just follow that routine to where, during the summer, I was getting in around 100 cuts every other day. So that's what I would recommend for hitting, and I'll recommend it, I'm sure, more. So that's kind of the outline of what we want to do. The last thing I had saved, I was going to have both Andrea and myself introduce ourselves. I know a lot of you know Andrea. She's all over Beat Ball Nation during the summer, streaming games. But I was going to ask her to kind of give people that don't know her as well background of how she got into the game. Most of you probably know her brother is Wayne Simpson. She's a big part of the family with Wayne and Rusty and Kevin and that whole big Austin Blackhawk group, and it's now gone into the San Antonio Jets. I know for a fact that 1992, when the tournament was in Minnesota, that was her first introduction to the World Series. So I wanted her to share her story a little bit. I'm not going to share her story for her, so I'll just leave it at that. And I'll just finish up by, I guess, giving you my own story. I guess I feel like anytime a show or anything like this starts, it's good for the host to let the audience know who they are. I haven't been at the World Series for a decade now, so a lot of you people don't even have any clue who I am, which is understandable. So I'll give you a little bit of my own background. I had eyesight until I was almost 11 years old. About a month before I turned 10, I was in an accident. I was in a boat that was pulling another boat, and we were using two water ski ropes and a chain. There was a water ski rope, and then the chain, and then another water ski rope to pull the boat. The boat I was in was a jet boat. The boat we were pulling was a day cruiser, which is a larger boat, heavier boat. And I was sitting directly in front of the tow bar, and I kept looking back, and I kept seeing that rope stretch and stretch, and I kept thinking, man, that rope's going to break. And I had sunglasses on. I remember I really liked my sunglasses, and I kept telling myself I should take the glasses off. I don't want them to get broken if, something goes wrong here. So when my first conscious moment hit, and I couldn't see anything, which was, just shortly after I'd gotten hit, because the rope did break and the chain hit me in the face. I was looking over my right shoulder, and it hit mostly the right side of my face. The entire right side of my face had to be rebuilt. My nose had to be rebuilt. Didn't do as much damage on the left side, but it took out both my eyes. This was May 20th, 1979. Like I said, it was about a month before I turned 11. I came from a competitive family. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. We were all, active in sports. I played a little bit of basketball, but organized basketball. I wasn't very good, but my whole family, we all swam competitively. I started swimming competitively when I was 4 years old. I wasn't able to swim that year because my face had so much healing it had to do. I wasn't able to put it underwater until probably like August of that summer. So I wasn't able to swim, but I got right back into swimming the following year competitively and did that until I was 19 years old. At some point, I believe my freshman year of high school, maybe a little bit before that, 8th grade, somewhere when I was about 13 or 14, my mom had seen on TV that they were doing a special on blind people playing baseball. At that time, there was a pretty strong group in the Bay Area. There were the 3 or 4. There was as many at one point in the 80s as 6 teams in the Bay Area. And they had a little league going, the Bay Area Beep Baseball Association, I think it was called. And my mom comes in and tells me, they're blind people playing baseball. And I just shook my head. I was like, that's stupid. And I was so arrogant about it. I didn't even get off my lazy backside and walk out and check it out on any level. I just had no interest. I thought, I'd played a lot of baseball, even though I didn't do it in an organized league. I played a lot of baseball with the neighborhood kids at school, whatever, and I loved playing. And I just imagined the game being played exactly the same way, but with blind people running around. It's like, it's just, that doesn't even make sense. Why would they even try that? And that was the end of it. And then my senior year, the society in 1986, the Society for the Blind here in Sacramento, they held a clinic for all the people that lived in the local area. A group of people that were from different teams in the Bay Area came to Sacramento and put on this little clinic, and I fell in love because we had members like Kimmy and Slick Watts from the East Bay Blaze, one of our league's stronger programs that was ever around. Probably the best team to ever play beat baseball and not win a championship. Kimmy and Slick were part of that, and there were some other players from the Bay Area teams that came up that day. But man, when they started talking about this World Series tournament, and that year the World Series was here in California in Stanford, which is in the Bay Area, South Bay, south of San Francisco. That's where the 1986 World Series was. And when they started telling me, this group of people I was in, about this World Series, I fell in love. I just kept asking questions. I remember I was wearing a blue windbreaker, and this guy Wally that drove them up. I just kept asking question after question, and as I learned more, I got more interested. And he pointed at me. He's like, "Man, I could already tell that guy in the blue windbreaker. He's gonna be a champion someday." And I'm so thankful that he was right, because I can tell you it's so hard to win a championship. I know it might look easy when there are teams like Albuquerque and Austin and the Thunder, the Dogs that have ran off multiple championships. It might look easy. It's so hard to win a championship. So much commitment has to go into it. And so I'm so thankful that he was right. I had a great run. I first started going to the World Series with a team called the North Bay Nemesis, and it kind of ties into what we're doing here with the Beat Ball Blues show. 1987, we weren't able to play in the 1986 World Series. My team here in Sacramento, we got involved too late to register, but we drove down and checked it out and checked out a few games. And that year, the East Bay Blaze finished second, and the North Bay Nemesis, another Bay Area team, they finished third. So we had two top three teams just 2 hours away from us. In '87, still, my own Sacramento team wasn't able to go to the World Series, and the North Bay Nemesis picked me up. And so going down and practicing with the Nemesis and going to the World Series with them, what I was able to bring back to my Sacramento team was so valuable. We were a bunch of misfits that didn't know what we were doing. It did help a little bit that in '87, a guy named Dave Stallcup, Bushman, for those of you that remember, used to play for the Wichita Sonics, Randy Stallcup's brother. He moved to Sacramento that year and started playing with our Sacramento team. So we did actually gain some real experience to work with us. But just as valuable was what I learned from the Nemesis. Being able to bring that back to my Sacramento team and tell them how to practice and show them how to play. It was so valuable. And that, honestly, that's what this Beat Ball Blues show comes down to for me, is just want people to learn and take it back to their team and help improve their team. Make their craft better individually, make their team better. Just whatever we could do to improve the game, man. Those of us that are here involved in the game are the only ones who care. We're the only ones who care about how good any team or individual is. So I just want to do what I can to just reach out and get like a group thing going of all of us trying to help each other get better at it. Like I said at the beginning, there's really no better time to do that, I think, than right now, because the world's kind of being put on hold, and hopefully we'll get things slowed down and things will get back to normal sooner than later. But for right now, teams shouldn't be practicing together. They shouldn't be spending time together and hanging out and doing all the things that beat ball teams do this time of year. So I figure it's a great time. This is a great opportunity here in Beat Ball Nation and through Facebook Live. It's a great opportunity for us to jump in and do things a little bit of a different way. And so I just that's my hope. That's my plan. I love this game. I gotta be careful. I don't want to get all choked up, but I love this game so much. So I'm just going to end it there. That's kind of an outline of where we're trying to go with this thing. And I hope it works out. Hope we get all the technology stuff figured out. Maybe we can get some assistance there on how we could do this, so that I get Andrea on with us next time. We get our guest on. We need to be able to all three be able to interact with each other. We need to be able to interact with the people in the chat room asking questions. It breaks my heart that if you guys have been writing any questions that I can't answer any of them right now. But I'll go through and see, after I get done, and I'll answer anything I can. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach me at NeilDawg, NealDawg, beatball@gmail.com. If you have an interest in coming on, I talked about players and coaches. If you want to volunteer to come be part of this, if you can offer assistance on how we can improve it technology-wise, what we need to do right to get it done, any of that stuff, I would love to be able to find a way to archive, especially once we start having people who are experts on pitching, and my show I hope to have with Mike Finn. It'd be great to be able to archive those shows so that people could come along and gain from it later. So that is the plan here. I hope that we pull it off as good as I want to. I don't know if anybody is still listening or not. Whoever you are, if it's one of you, it's 50 of you, I appreciate you sticking in there. Sorry again that the technology wasn't as good as it could have been, but we're going to work on it and get that all straightened out. I love you, Beat Ball people. Hang in there. Be safe, be healthy, be smart during these tough times. And we will see you next Sunday on the Beat Ball Blues Show. Take care, everybody.
12 viewers. Comment section. Stephen Garrett is watching.
I'll see how to end this.
Working. Tim
I
Hittner
have
is watching.
no idea.
Richie Crustley, Tim Hittner. Mark Masterson is watching.
Hi, Mark.
Comment.
Hi, Tim.
Finish. Button. Finish.
Oh, finish. All right. Love you guys. Bye-bye.